That is twice in one night. The Kerbals has crapped out on me. That's maybe a record. Hope that doesn't mean the files are corrupt. Okay, so we were trying to recover Jeb after the plane went explodey, so we will do that now. And we're going to fix the plane, which I suspect the problem with it is that its blades are bigger than its landing gear. I'll try that, see if that helps. If this doesn't work, we'll go back to a smaller landing gear, or smaller blade system. Work! Work or I eat you, Jeb. I forgot to fix the landing. We'll just get rid of them again. Look at these gear. That looks like physics is broken on those, like their colliders no longer actually function correctly. Yep, the gear aren't working proper. The colliders aren't working properly on them at all. So we cannot use those landing gear. They're sinking straight through the runway. That should not happen. Some mods, they're great. Others, well, could use some work. Aviation is one of the ones that could use some work. Not going to be big enough for his landing gear, or for the blades on that motor. That motor goodbye until we can get better landing gear, because that ain't gonna work. Dismount though, and it's slightly more powerful than the biplane. And there we go with those chutes again. One of these days I'll remember the staging correction. Now we know these gear work, so we're going to go start collecting science. In the middle of the dark, in a biplane, with no lights. It's going to be glorious. Test, test, test. Now just a brief audio check. We need to find out where that thermometer reading was supposed to be taken. And apparently, somehow the motor got put back into the containment unit where the science is. How ironic. Alright, let's go fix these items. A little on the frustrating side, but I haven't worked with these parts before. It's my first run through with these aeronautic parts. There we go, that fixes that. Let's put these where they're easier to see. They don't cause a lot of drag anyway. There, all problems corrected, launching, and let's go grab science now. took long enough. It's like the game didn't recognize we were on the ground yet. Okay, on to waypoint 2. Thing flies like a very delicate, I mean, it's beautiful how light it is. The only problem is it's not actually on the ground when you think it is. That leads to trouble collecting the mission data that you need, because you have to actually be on the surface. And there's one done. And the last done. So where are we going to next? Take a moment to get our bearings here. Palatina's Trek, what do they want us to do there? Oh, there it is, below. Yeah, we can do that. Still got plenty of fuel. And of course I'm not going to have Jeb step out on a wing and be a little crazy. Now keep in mind, all this is being done in the course of a single night. So it's easy, if you know what you're doing, to get your career mode off the ground pretty quickly. All you have to do is find a stable aircraft, build it, and then start completing these local missions. $30,000 for a complete set a pop is not a tiny sum, especially when it's repeatable. Especially with all the tech you gain from doing these expeditions. They just take some time. Let's see how far we got to drive here. And then we got all these other little ones nearby we can also assist with. Ooh. Some of those are way up there. I believe most of them are below this altitude though, and if that's the case we can do almost all of them. The red star must be out. Look at the horizon. It's tinted red. So it's, yep, there it is. And Moon, and Cervantes, and the other red star. So yeah, this is an orange night. That rate of fuel usage, we could go quite a distance. Fortunately, we don't need to. This should be just a crew report, and then we can get out of here. We want to try to do a loop here, connect these, and do each one. As long as that one isn't at the surface, and it doesn't look like it is. As long as they don't say above 18,000 or 17,000, we'll be fine with this engine. We are at the mission site. One down. 2 down. The classic S-turn. So 95G. We're not going to be able to get that one, it's way too high. F2597. That one we can do. Fuel checks out. We're still good on, very, very good on fuel. So it looks like we can get these two, and then Dalton's Refuge, and we're going to be done. The others require high altitude engines, which we don't have yet. The mountains look eerie with the red caps from the red star glowing off their mountain tops. I'd say after this one we're really reaching the limits of what the biplane of science can do. We're going to have to start looking into our first jet designs. Hopefully we'll be able to gather enough science to actually open up some reasonable afterburners for it. Alternatively, we can look at the rocketry and performing the first suborbital tourist missions, which will fetch us some nice money as well. Also, if you're out there listening and it's kind of dull and you want to say hello, feel free to say so in the chat. I do have streaming chat enabled so that I can see your messages. About to be over land, so it'll be coming up on the survey area soon. Actually, it's just off the coast. It'll be even sooner than I thought. I think with the mod skin, with the scenic skin that I have, those bright spots you see down below that look like stars and patterns are supposed to be coastal cities, and there's just rock there. We're definitely getting close. The travel line is going all over the place. It's starting to going around the compass. We'll be on it soon. And there we go. Okay, navigation's already set up for us. And we are on course. I think we're just about hit the max altitude ceiling for this engine without stalling. Appears to max out at 8,000 meters. And yet another mission down. So that is 53,000, 61, 69, 95, 103,000 credits that we've racked up out here in this one flight. That's enough to build a nice little satellite if we need to, that we can expend. Or do an upgrade. And we've also collected the crew report for the grasslands. All we got to do now is this one pressure reading. And we will go work on a better aircraft. We have literally been at this half the night. It is almost midnight. Four brilliant stars in the sky. And the moon. don't see Minmus up there, but it's almost so low in magnitude it's difficult to see from here. Ooh, we're in the Highlands now. Oh, Valaconthevas, what are you talking about? Getting close. And where is that pressure data reading? And mission complete. Alright, now I need to turn around and go home. Looks like we need to head east-southeast. That would be 90 degrees on the dial. Possibly 91, 92. that should do us. Can we see the airfield yet? Nah, this could be a bit of a drive. I see mountains. Gotta be careful about those. I'm not sure we have a clearance line to get over them, but we'll try. Looks like we'll just barely clear the mountaintops. That is probably a space center out in the distance on the peninsula. And we are still fantastically good on fuel. I will say this much, flying the prop planes aren't the most exciting part of the game, but they do get the job done on the early stages. Later we'll get some hot rods that'll make up for all this slowness. Come on, game, you're putting me to sleep. Forgot time warp wasn't on. Never forget time warp's not on. Bad things happen. Dragons fall asleep at the wheel. And there's more science in home. We may as well start our approach. Space Center Tower. This is Sci-Bi 1. Coming in for landing. Request clearance. Sci-Bi 1, this is Tower. We can't see your running lights. Request general position information. 7.8 meters, 8K meters out. At altitude. Heading due east. Approaching runway. Crap, there went the antenna. So much for communicating with the tower. No, I'm still not sure that's the Space Center. We're going to have to go down and investigate. I see it now. Way out there, barely twinkling. I was going to the wrong spot. At least I was close. so maneuverable, it's disgusting. That is indeed a biplane. Yes, it is very dark. This is actually being done at midnight. I did it for the challenge, navigating in the dark in a World War I biplane. Welcome to the stream, CF Teague. My responses may be just a little delayed. Hopefully my audio comes through clearly for you. Awesome. I will be doing mostly late night broadcasts, so if you're ever up at this hour, this will be the time I'm most likely to be on. I can't get enough time to myself in the middle of the day to stream, so I stream late nights. Fortunately, it doesn't give me much of an audience, but what can you do? What's keeping you awake? By the way, I just completed a whole boatload of missions. Mostly just flying around, doing temperature scans, pressure scans, crew reports. Picked up a boatload of money and a boatload of science. I'm actually playing on career mode, so it's normal career mode. So it's going to be quite a bit challenging to make sure I stay within my budget and still push my science envelopes. I think biplanes are actually my favorite for their handling. They are so smooth on pickup and set down. They fly almost like paper napkins. Well, they are mostly paper, so that's probably why. The slightest bump knocks it back into the air. Notice? Yeah, this is from the Kerbal Aerospace mod, I believe is what it's called. It's a two-seater. You can carry an engineer and a pilot. For right now, it's just carrying a jib. All the science suite on board that I have open already. Single landing gear that does steering in the back. Started off as just a skid, upgraded it later. The key to landing gently is to cut the throttle back to nearly nothing, like between 0 and 33%, you know, the first tick bar on the bottom, and then just keeping your nose pitched up at about 10 degrees descent angle. It also depends on how your landing gear is postured. You got to make sure that you got them in nice alignment using the absolute orientation inside the spaceplane hangar. Don't want to revert, want to recover. Got a whole bunch of stuff. I would totally destroy a bunch of work if I reverted. Also, if my avatar's motion seems a little jerky, it's because I got face rig on the lowest priority. Basically, the dragon's there to let you know that I'm here. I want the KSP to perform the best in my audio. Another thing you can do, and something I've done with this plane, is in the event I come back and something's broke, I've got chutes on the top around the center of gravity. Wow, Streamlabs is so delayed. It's just getting your chat. That's amazing. Yeah, you got to be very attentive to your altitude and your altimeter. I noticed that most of my planes have been touching down right around 72 meters when I get near the runway. So when I start approaching that, I try to keep myself nice and level. And I just made a ton of money. So at 800,000, 339 with 56.8 science remaining. Let's see what we can unlock with that. We can do advanced rocketry. That's about it. I didn't unlock enough science to do anything in the 90s. That's okay. That's still enough to get me moving. I have a bunch of other missions to do, mostly tourist right now. Let's see, what's up next on the list? EVAs, where are they at? That's quite a bit of ways. I don't think I want to take a biplane that far out. Let's see if we can make a jet. Or maybe a hop rocket. Not a lot of options here. I could have sworn, oh, there it is. Oh, it's the tiny ones. Make the equivalent of a P90 shooting star. Most of the time I do. But in career mode you need every dollar you can get, so I'm going to try to go get these. It shouldn't take too long. Not with this type of jet. And since it's an EVA mission, I'm not even going to add science on board. All I'm going to do is make sure that there's enough ground clearance for the Kerbals to get in and out. And, you know, get back in. And then enough speed to get there and back quickly. That will probably do. Does it have control surfaces? Yes, it does. So it is a control surface. The whole thing moves. That could be a problem. Too big. Just right. Do I have any flaps yet? I bet I don't. Oh yes I do. There we go, the most rudimentary level 1 jet you can build. Probably not going to be needed, but I should have checked the weight to lift ratio. Make sure I'm on center with it. But you're right, canards probably would make it more maneuverable. But they might get in the way of the Kerbal getting in and out. I'll check that out. Oh, and I forgot to add the emergency recovery system for the event there's a compromised part. I'll do that as well. Okay, so first off, yeah, that wasn't going to work out too well. Actually, no, that would have been alright. Center of gravity's okay where it's at. Too low. Just right. That should make it a lot more maneuverable, and now let's work on recovery. There, now we have an emergency recovery system. Let's make sure staging's set right. And we're good. Do I play if random fails? Yes. Typically I do play through them. That's why I build in the recovery systems, just to make sure that if something goes terribly wrong, the chutes will typically allow me to recover most of the value of the aircraft. Still no lights on the landing gear yet. And that took off way too easy. I don't think these can get over 17,500, but we definitely need to test it. That's why it's a little wobbly on the ground. These landing gear aren't quite as flat as they should be. That's okay, we'll fix that next time. Beautiful cockpit. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get over 17,500 either, but at least I'll be able to do the ground missions, which is what I'm primarily out to do right now. Oh, I've had fun building planes. I know I'm not very far into the Twitch campaign yet, but I've made SR-71 Blackbirds. I've made bombers that can drop probes that can be guided to hit buildings. I mean, I love working with aircraft. So if aircraft's what you want to learn, just hang around and watch. And as my career goes on, you'll be able to see how to make things work out. The most important thing, I think, is the landing gear. If you really want a stable plane that lands well and works well, the key element above all other things is getting the landing gear right. Because if you set your landing gear up correctly, there's ways of doing it where you cannot possibly crash a vehicle. I've made probes that have 6 landing gear pointing out in all, 6 different directions on the top and on the bottom. I call them spiders. And the way the landing gear are oriented, basically the probe can hit anything at 50 meters per second from any direction and it will not break. I could load it up and show it to you in a minute on one of the other campaigns if you'd like me to. Also, if you ever see a craft that you'd like to have, I give them out away. Like, just let me know you want it. I'll put it on Kerbal X for you to pick up. If you don't know what Kerbal X is, it's an exchange. I can also post a Dropbox link to it in the channel here, and you can just simply grab it from my Dropbox directly if you want to. It's going to take a while. I better speed things up. Thing's getting some good speed behind it. Oh, it's no biggie. I mostly do this for everybody else's entertainment anyway. I have a different campaign where I'm like 90% of the way through, but when I started streaming, I thought, you know what, I'm going to play the campaign from the start so people can see how I got where I am, where they can see the progress, how my thought process thinks and my building and design work. Because there's a lot of people out there who are wanting to, to learn tricks and how to play the game. So putting that information out there is kind of my mission. I got other streamers that I'm ally with that I host on my own stream here, do the same thing. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but there's actually 3 distinct stars in the sky. where I have the Interstellar mod on top of your normal sun. It's a very beautiful mod. I can't wait till Dayside shows up. I don't know if you've seen the Scenic mod. That one is it's Scenic Replacement. I think it's on list 2. Scenic Visuals or something of that nature. Let me pull my CCAN up and I can tell you right quick while the jet is flying here, because it can do it on its own. I got it set and where it needs to go, and it's just doing its thing. I don't know if you've heard of CCAM before, but I would strongly recommend that you get it if you're going to be modding a lot. It helps me keep track of mine, but you also need to know how to add and remove your own mods too. The actual mod name for the one with the cities is called Stock Visual Enhancements. It comes in 3 pieces: high-res textures, sunflare, and scatterer configs. The high-res textures is the one I'm using, which provides the city lights below. But you have to have the sunflare and the scatterer configs to get the lighting to work. By the way, once I get the missions on the ground out here, once I land, I'm probably just going to recover this, because the length of time it's going to take us to get back to the Space Center is going to take forever. Although I'm pretty sure I would have the fuel to make the flight. I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend the entire evening doing just the flight back. You're welcome. Also, the author of that mod is named Galileo88, to make sure that you get the right one. I think he's behind a planet pack too, a planet mod pack, which adds additional planets to the solar system. I haven't had the opportunity to ask, but how is the quality of the video stream and the audio coming over for you? Is everything good? There comes the sun, we have dawn. God, that's beautiful. That's what it looks like from the cockpit. Can't see a whole lot from the cockpit with those giant-ass canards on the front. I know, right? Yeah, latency. Latency, latency, latency. Applies in space travel, applies to the internet too. Whoever designed that cockpit did a pretty good job. By the way, did you notice the weather overlay for Kerbin? With the clouds and such? That's part of that same mod, the one that gives the city lights on the other side of the planet. It gives weather on the day lit side. You'll see it better as I come onto the daylight. No Martians here. Oh. Trying to maneuver at times 4 speed never does come off well. I miss my Blackbird. I miss being able to do 1.6k meters per second around the planet. I'd have been able to make this fly in 1/8 the time with that plane. Can't wait to build it again though. That's the one thing I love about Kerbals. It is like infinitely replayable. Like, I will never get bored of it. Also, I don't know if you've heard of it before, but they have some beautiful wings on this set called B9 Procedural Wings. You can actually custom it. Ooh, tech. Oh crap, that's going to require me to step out of plane. That ain't going to work. Not at this speed. See the clouds in the distance starting to come into sunlight so that you can see them? In the dark, you can't see them, but you're flying through them. I believe the top speed of the SR-71 was like Mach 3.6. It didn't quite reach Mach 7. Although I think the new hypersonic X-plane that they're testing with the military, I think that one hits like Mach 5 through 7. It's the one that has the ramjet nozzle on the front. I mean, she was a fast plane, a beauty of a plane that could outrun every missile of her day, but she didn't quite make Mach 7. I think that might actually be the space shuttle speed. Mach 7 would be around 2,100 meters per second, roughly. Something like that. I think every 300 meters per second is a Mach. It also depends on your altitude, though, because the speed of sound varies by altitude. The Mach ratings, the Mach speeds are much lower in lower atmosphere near the ocean surface because you hit the sound barrier much faster than you do at high altitude. Oh wow, we're getting close. Might actually have to slow this stuff down and start diving to see where exactly we need to land. Oh, this does not look like fun terrain to land on. I may have to paradrop in if this is a mountain. It's a good possibility. People do that all the time. I used to think that it also did Mach like 6, 7 myself before I looked into it. I tell you, there's a drone that not a lot of people know about that was the SR-71's little brother that was really fun to build also. Look up on Wiki or something, the D-21. Basically, they took one of the SR-71's nacelles off, strapped some wings on it, and made it a drone. You talk about fast, I bet that thing probably was the fastest drone ever built. At least for inter-atmospheric travel, anyway. Yeah, I'll show you my trick to landing in this terrain. It's a fun one. It's called deploying emergency parachutes because you couldn't possibly land on it because it's not flat enough. And you just hope that you don't get a mountainside. If you don't get a mountainside, then you can roll around and you're good. But if you get a mountainside, you're screwed even if you use parachutes. And this is looking like it's on a river or a mountainside. You see the water going up through here? Yeah, this isn't looking pretty at all. That looks like a river delta. Yeah, I'm thinking it's right over in here. Let's go land in the swamp. I think this game is designed to actually request Kerbals complete missions where they are going to die. Think you can make this one, Jeb? Cause it's really questionable. Jeb has this expression on his face like, I got this. The mod I have right now has propellers, and you can technically use the you could use the other parts like the structural fuselage or empty fuel tanks and panels to make a flatbed and then put the fans on it and it would act just like a fan boat. A matter of fact, I could probably build one even in early game right now if I wanted to. We can try that after this, assuming I survive it. Okay, so it's the northeast part of the delta, so that's going to be around here. What do you think? Should I try to land on this rough terrain or parachute in? It's awful rough. You could build it, but getting it here would take probably literal Kerbal days. And I'm talking like real-time driving the boat for Kerbal days. Now, if you tried to launch it and parachute it in like by cargo plane, that might work. See, the current jet that I'm flying right now is probably approaching Mach 1 at low altitude because it's got the shock waves coming off of it. this is a really rough terrain. That's a mountain river over there with water coming down it. Yeah, this terrain is way too rough. Those hills are just way too rocky. There's a bump every 3 feet. It would tow this plane all over the place if I tried to land it. So let's just get over the survey site, and I'm going to pop chutes and land there. The funnest thing that I built was a Mars rover that used 6 rockets, 6 LVN-1s to power it, the ones that stick out the side, the little bitty ones, and had a single very tiny fuel tank with only locks in it. So it was one of the 6x6 configs I told you about, where you got 6 wheels on the front, 6 on the back, and no matter which side it went, it rolled over to, as long as it was below 50 meters per second, it wouldn't crash. So yeah, I took that to Mars, dropped it at the North Pole, and drove it all the way to the equator in a little under an hour, because it could consistently keep like 40 to 50 meters per second without crashing, skipping across the surface. Okay, we're getting really close here to the landing site, so let's cut throttle, popping chutes. This is what you call delivering your jet fighter by parachute. That's exactly why I built it the way I did. It's because I knew that on low-grav planets, if you jumped a crater wall, you were screwed. And there we go. We are on the ground. Oh, I forgot to put a frickin'... That could be a problem. I didn't put comms on here. Oh well, I'll keep that for recovery. Hope I can handle a couple extra EVA reports on here. And my jet has turned into a ground rover. Should have put a stronger SAS on here too. crew reports is one thing. I need to do EVA reports, and I think there's a max of 2 per cabin. But even if that's the case, what I can do is I can put 2 of the crew reports in the actual cockpit and recover the plane, and then get the 3rd report on Jeb, and then recover Jeb separately so that I get all 3 reports. That way I don't have to worry about coming all the way back over here again. As a little workaround, you can actually recover the Kerbal and it has its own data storage. Which I can justify myself in doing that by saying that, I've got my rescue plane, the little prop plane that can carry 2 Kerbals back at home waiting so he can come out and save Jeb. I really like this design. This is like one of the most stable Mark I version planes that I have created so far. Need to do a few improvements though. For one thing, I need to put comms on it and a stronger SAS. Ah, crap. There is a limit. The good news is I've already got one AVA report, and this is the same terrain type. So all I have to do is actually, to complete the missions, is simply run the request, even if it doesn't actually give me science. So I don't think I'm screwed at all. It just occurred to me that I don't actually need to turn all of these in. Alright, so last one's over here. Oh, it's already set up for me. Good. So my suggestion is, if you can't get them to land just right, put a couple of chutes on them around the center of gravity. Make them small, not too big, and airdrop them back onto KSC. That's an easy way around that problem. Which I can land. You've seen me land, so it's just I don't want to fly this thing all the way back. I could save myself a ton of money in doing so, because but this plane is actually pretty cheap. I mean, earliest possible parts here. Yeah, for the mission, I don't have to turn them all in. Just got to get them. This one must have been a little bit further away than the others. So what's your vote? Fly it back or recover it? Don't want to get too fast. This isn't exactly the most stable thing in the world to drive on ground. And there we have it. Yeah, I've got a bunch of tourist missions already lined up, actually. Not bad for its first flight. Proves the model's good. Might want to even out the landing gear a little, though. Loads of money, not all that much science though. But right now my priority is upgrading stuff. As you can see, nothing's developed quite yet. Next mission. High altitude missions, which I can't quite do yet. Unless... Nope, I gotta wait for that. Next, it looks like tourists, and most of these just want suborbital hops. So we are going to do the tourist thing. Yeah, I've got a ton of tourists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tourists waiting for a ride. By the way, this is like day 1 of the campaign. Like, I mean, literally, it's... I'm getting all this done like without even having the first day pass. The thing you're seeing with the 4 ports on the bottom is called a space crane. It is designed to lift things into space. And I believe it can re-enter too. What is the weight on that thing? Too heavy. Yeah, I know it does. You could stack them for quite a few Kerbals. What I'm doing is I'm going to use these cabins here, these hitchhiker storage containers. Although I'm not sure how sturdy they are, I may need to go with the Mark 1s anyway because they may not be strong enough. Tolerance is 6 meters per second, tolerance 40 meters. Yeah. There, tourists can see outside. That can work as a lower stage. That thing might make orbit actually, but meh. Also, I'm using a mod, part of the KSPIFE thing allows you, called Tweakable Scale, and you can actually tweak the size of your fuel tanks and your rockets. Saves you on part count, having to add like 1,000,000 boosters to do one thing. That way your game doesn't lag a whole bunch. Strongly recommend it. Also, it greatly simplifies the game. In terms, I mean, you still have to pay the cost for it. Like, watch what happens when I resize this. So to upgrade it from a Mark 1 to a Mark, I think it's 2.5, that cost me $6,000 to upgrade that booster. So it does factor in the cost to it, so it doesn't break the career mode. And I mean, it's just beautiful. Okay, this thing has enough fuel power and monopropellant to take care of itself, and I think it has its own thrusters. Do we need any control? I should probably use one control. Yeah, I've got a heat shield on the core part here. I think these over here, They don't have their own bladers, but I think it has a really high heat resistance. Let me just check right quick. 2000, yeah, it can handle a good chunk of heat. Well, now you have. Now you've seen scale 200% AVR8 winglets to boot. Crap. How many am I over? 5. Definitely need the chutes. Can't get rid of the chutes. Can't get rid of the SRB. Can't get rid of the tourist stuff unless I can use the... Can probably get rid of that. Probably don't need that many struts. Okay, that should work. Alright, we are going to do test mode without any tourists on board. This is not considered de facto part of the actual mission. This is considered engineering and testing. So if this fails, it doesn't count. We can revert. No crew on board, purely a model. Test launch 1. Go for ignition. Oh, that would have been bad. There we go. And that out a little over the ocean. Looking good. And stage 1 is away. Heck, this thing can probably make orbit. You're going to call me nuts, but I gotta try this. I'm going to try to land it back at the rocket pad. to do the rocket pad, maybe the grasslands though. Nope, out of fuel. Not gonna make it. But I think we got a conclusive test that indicates this delivery system will work. Especially for suborbitals. It's going to be ridiculously easy for suborbitals. Shoots for days, man. Shoots for days. Yep, definitely safe. Alright, let's put some tourists on here and get this done. Hey look, I'm a tourist. Oh, you think the if you think that this booster, this SRB, the early one, the Bacchus booster, if you think that one is nasty as a 2.5, wait till you see one of the big ones. Yeah, the back booster, no comparison to the other. Yeah, I don't, but let me see if I can Google it and find out for you. Okay, it's called Space Crane actually. You know, I'm not actually seeing that online anywhere. That makes me wonder if that thing's still in circulation. I'm thinking it's part of construction. I think it's part of ground construction by Alista or ground construction core by Alista, one of those two. Alright, let's get this thing started. We are in mission mode, no reverts. It doesn't actually have engines. This thing has 4 engine mount points. It does have RCS thrusters on it, but it does not actually have full-blown engines. It could be from Interstellar. I've got Interstellar installed as well as Near Future, so it could be either one of those or the ground construction, because it will be applicable in all 3 of those types of development environments. I tell you what these space cranes are really good for? Towing asteroids. Put a claw down here or up on top. You're welcome. Feel free to come back in the future. I will try. I'm going to start to try to stream regularly around this hour, even on weekdays possibly. So, like starting around 1 to 2 a.m. Start looking for me. If you don't see me by 3 or 4, you can assume I probably am not going to be around. But yeah, thanks for dropping by. Have a good one. Hey, I'm at space exit this time. Is that a verb now? Well, I lost an engine. But everything survived, so yeah. Almost did it, but I didn't have any lights. If I had lights, I probably could have landed that. Peace to you as well. Thanks for sticking around to watch the landing. 1 million in one day. Has it even been a day? I don't think it's even been a day. I need to check the mission elapsed time. Or the game elapsed time. Year 1, day 1, 4 hours, 7 minutes. Wow. And I'm at 1 million. I've doubled what I started with. Isn't that glorious? So that will be 10 hours. Kerbal time. Time for some upgrades. Well, there went a huge chunk of money. What's next on our list? Everybody wants a jet. More supportable flights. Pressure rings. We need science. Science, 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 science. Where can we get some science? There's the mountains nearby. We can get those while we're out and about doing some of these survey missions. Question is, how many of those are actually on this continent? And the answer is not many. I need a blackbird, a blackbird, a blackbird. Not going to be able to get one for quite some time though. And I am taking a break to get a soda. I will be right back.